The race for 2020 is entering a new phase with presidential candidates reshaping their strategies in light of the impeachment inquiry of President Trump and the whistleblower report that started it all. Former Vice President Joe Biden is fending off attacks from the Trump campaign that focus on his son's work for a Ukrainian gas company during the time he was leading the Obama administration's corruption probe in the country. At a campaign event last week, Biden said the president's attempt to get the government of Ukraine to investigate his family was a distraction from the issues that matter most to American voters. 2020 campaign reporter Bo Erickson was at that campaign event. He joins me now for this edition of Daily Trail Markers. Good evening to you, Bo. You were in Las Vegas on Friday at Biden's first campaign event since House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced the formal impeachment inquiry. You spoke to some voters about this. Let's listen to that.
We've heard a lot from President Trump about Ukraine and the Bidens. Do you think any of that will stick to his candidacy?
No, absolutely not. I think America understands that Joe Biden and his son didn't do anything wrong. There's no evidence that they did. We've heard things like this from Trump before about other people, so it's kind of a pattern. And I think that America will see that it's just another trick.
It does not help. As Warren is gaining momentum, her crowd sizes are getting larger, and we use crowd sizes now as a metric of electability. This is going to hurt. But the Biden campaign, they're smart. They've been doing a lot of things right. Biden is the one who can beat Trump. And for Democrats' sake, we hope that this does not stick.
So those voters don't seem to think this is going to hurt Joe Biden in the long run. What else did people tell you?
Well, hi, Elaine. Yeah, I spoke with dozens of Democrats outside his event in Vegas on Friday, and they say they all have Joe Biden's back. No one is rushing to go support Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders. But as you heard that last gentleman there, a few people said that even though they don't think anything nefarious happened in Ukraine with Joe Biden or Hunter Biden, they say that the president of the United States continually repeating these claims, it may stick a little bit, and they were kind of worried how the larger electorate may respond to Joe Biden's candidacy going forward.
Well, the whistleblower complaint raises serious allegations against President Trump, but it also puts scrutiny on Joe Biden and his son. How is the campaign responding to questions over the Biden family's work in Ukraine?
Well, as you noted, he did address this directly in Las Vegas, and he said that every major publication around the world has asserted that these assertions are just dead flat wrong. And he said that his family would overcome this, and that this is one of the tactics that President Trump is trying to use, that President Trump does not want to talk about the issues affecting families across the country, so he's focusing on Joe Biden's family. On the campaign angle, though, an interesting thing happened this weekend. The campaign asked several news organizations, including this one, to stop booking Rudy Giuliani, the president's personal lawyer, on their programs because they said that they have a grave concern of what Rudy Giuliani is going on the airwaves and saying, and they say that he is spreading false information.
Well, this whistleblower complaint has thrust Joe Biden into what almost seems like a general election race against President Trump. At the same time, Biden is competing against all of the other Democratic presidential candidates. Over the weekend, the Trump campaign announced a $10 million ad buy against Biden. You spoke with some of Biden's biggest supporters. Is there concern over whether his campaign is equipped to handle all of this?
Well, strategically, no, but some of Biden's biggest backers think they need to back up that Brinks bank truck right and to help Mr. Biden. And the way that some people think to go about this is to create a super PAC to help Mr. Biden. The man who is kind of floating this idea out, his name is Larry Raske, and he told me, he's a former presidential campaign staffer. He actually ran the comm shop for Mr. Biden in '87 and 2007, that they are kind of fighting fighting this two-part war and that Mr. Biden needs to ensure an adequate defense system. The probability of starting the Super PAC right now is still up in the air. He actually said it was a coin flip, so 50-50 if they were going to go forward with it. But obviously the draw for the Super PAC is that they could raise unlimited sums of money to help specifically Joe Biden. And one of the routes that they could take is to maybe counter some of these Ukraine claims coming from the White House.
So meantime, the third quarter filing deadline for the presidential campaigns is this evening. How are Biden's fundraising efforts going?
Yeah, just one quick note about that Super PAC. Mr. Biden and his campaign say they want nothing to do with the Super PAC. No. They do not support it. But the way they are going about raising money is to do the normal high-dollar fundraisers, you know, throughout the country here, much to the chagrin of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. But they're actually trying to do it in an interesting way. They are trying to be an effort for transparency, open up the process a little bit, and they allow at least one reporter into every private fundraiser so that there's a record of what Joe Biden says to donors. So I tallied up all of those reports, and from the time that Joe Biden got into the race in April, he has held at least 63 fundraisers across 24 states. And last week at one of the fundraisers, he said that as of that time period, he has received 670,000 donations from around 350,000 people, and the average donation was $46. So, you know, as we travel throughout the country and I follow Joe Biden around, there's one thing for certain: it costs a lot of money to run for president. So I can expect some more fundraisers down the road here.
All right, we know you'll be on it. Bo Erickson, Bo, always great to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.